I'm Eric Schumacher Rasmussen. I'm the editor and VP of Streaming Media and the conference chair for Streaming Media West Connect. We are on panel 4, I think. Yes, the 4th panel of the 3rd day of the 6th Streaming Media virtual event. Before each one of these, I have said, we'll see you in person next time. I'm not going to say that this time. Don't want to jinx things, but we are planning for Streaming Media East in Boston, May 24th and 25th, 2022. And we'll be announcing information and putting out the call for speakers for that fairly soon, as well as one more virtual event between now and then, Stream Media Connect February. Thanks again for tuning in. It's been a great conference so far. Lots of great audience participation and questions. On that note, just a few housekeeping notes. If you do have questions for our panel, please put them in the Q&A, which is at the bottom of your screen, rather than in the chat. The chat will be open, but it's easier for the moderator and I to keep track of questions if they are in the Q&A. Also, live transcripts are running. If you want to turn them off on your screen, you can go to the live transcript button at the bottom of your Zoom window and click that, and then click disable subtitles or disable transcripts. I forget what the exact verbiage is, but it should be obvious when you get there. Also, if you are here, you are entered in a drawing to win a $50 Amazon gift card. But there's a catch. You have to be present at the end to win. So we'll announce the winner of the gift card before we sign off this panel. I'd like to thank the diamond sponsors of Streaming Media West Connect, Limelight Networks, Conviva, Signient, and Video Guys. And we have a video message from each of them now. So Mike, roll it.
VideoGuys.com is your source for the LiveView Solo, and our Black Friday special starts now.
Stream from anywhere, anytime with the LiveView Solo and Solo Connect bundle. Buy now with the 2 or 3 modem kit and get 1 month Solo Connect free. This includes unlimited data and LRT Cloud and is only available until November 30th, 2021.
Go to VideoGuys.com or call us at 800-323-2325 to take advantage of LiveView's Black Friday special today.
In this era of streaming video, we are pioneers, helping make your stories more vibrant. Conviva lives in billions of apps on devices all over the world, measuring trillions of data points each day to provide real-time insights for your content, ads, and social. Conviva. Every stream, every screen, every second.
Thanks again to those diamond sponsors. And I'm going to get out of your way now and introduce Jonathon Barbato from Best Ever Channels. Jonathon, how you doing?
Doing great. Thank you, Eric. Thanks for asking.
Good to see you again, and looking forward to what you and your panelists have to say about true live programming in the OTT ecosystem. So take it away.
Absolutely. And thanks again. And I am excited to be here. I have a great panel today, and true live matters. Sorry for the pun, but that's what we're here to discuss today. And before we get into it, I just want to kind of spell what the environment is that we're talking about. In streaming media, you have video on demand, which is advertising supported or subscription supported, but you basically go and you pick something to watch and it's on demand. But we also have what we call live or linear video, which is Pluto or Samsung Plus or a PLEX experience, where you're watching 150, 200 channels. You can scroll through, you can click on something and it's playing live, meaning that at this moment it's playing one thing, at the next moment it's playing another. There's no on demand about it. But that is not true live. None of those are. True live is what you're seeing right now. I am talking, you are listening. There may be a few seconds delay, sometimes a couple minutes delay, but true live is right now relegated mostly to sports or news, events or award shows, those types of things. And in streaming media, in the fast channel universe, the PLEX, the Pluto, the Samsung Plus universe, true live is very rare, if at all happening. And so what we're here to talk about today is, do we need it? Why do we need it? How do we need it? And is it coming? And when is it coming? So I will basically introduce you briefly to each of my panelists. I will then let them talk about themselves in terms of what they're up to right now and how that pertains to live, true live. And then I have some questions for them to kind of dig into the subject and build momentum. Of course, I'll be looking at the Q&A if you have questions that are pertinent to the discussion at hand or that we will get to afterwards. So without further ado, let me introduce myself. I am the CEO, co-CEO of Best Ever Channels, BEC. We launch channels and on multiple channels on multiple platforms. In addition to that, I have 25 years of experience in both television and studio marketing, as well as head of marketing at Starz Movie Channel for 7 years, and been an entrepreneur with a digital agency prior to Best Ever Channels. Barry Gordon, my co-CEO at BEC, is my first panelist. And Barry's been in the industry over 25 years himself, has a deep content and distribution background, has been basically in the home video and home entertainment industry forever, and knows everything and everyone about it. And we'll talk to you more about that specifically in a minute. My next panelist is Ed Sullivan, and Ed Sullivan is currently the CEO of ClixTV, which is a contemporary and powerful new streaming media channel that's out there, both in streaming media, online, mobile, etc. But you may know Ed Sullivan as the former head of Pittard Sullivan, which was one of the leading on-air branding agencies for everyone. They were housed at Fox. They worked for all the major studios, several, I think 50 international channels doing branding and content marketing. So Ed brings a unique branding and marketing spin to all of this, and he'll talk about Clicks and what they're up to. And then last but not least, Patrick Bradley, who is one of my former partners with Right TV, also one of the founders of Zentropy Digital. Zentropy was acquired by WPP and Internet 1.0 days. So Patrick's been around a while as well. He's currently the Chief Revenue Officer for TIXR, which is a digital agency, servicing agency, but they're more than that. They also support their concerts, events, festivals with digital technology. And he is truly a master at event promotion, marketing, monetization. So without further ado, I will throw to Barry, if you can come on camera and tell us a little bit about your background and why you're here and what you're up to with BEC.
Well, I think you covered it pretty well in our introduction. I've been involved in home entertainment distribution and production of everything from comedy specials to feature films to network television. I work day to day with my esteemed partner, Jonathon, and my responsibility to the company, what we're doing is that we're channel building. And we're packaging new channels that have content that we know there are audiences that are waiting for it. Very focused type content. And I'm also responsible for the distribution of these channels, as well as the AVOD content that emanates from them. And I work really closely with the content as far as acquisitions, as well as production, and work close with our production partners.
Excellent. All right. Well, next up is Ed Sullivan. Ed, why don't you come on camera and tell us a little bit about what you're up to these days?
Hi, thanks for inviting me to Streaming Media West Connect, and thanks to you and Eric. And ClixTV started as a concept a couple of years ago to take advantage of streaming media across all devices with a new form of short form entertainment on mobile primarily mobile, but also web and responsive mobile. And the big idea is to marry e-commerce with and direct to consumer with the idea of entertainment for deeper brand experience and allow people to seamlessly go from a show to a brand and experience a brand as branded content, as well as being able to purchase that product. We think it's a unique position in the marketplace. Nobody has done that yet. And then thanks to John and Barry, who introduced us to the wonderful world of OTT, which we weren't ignoring, by the way, but we really appreciated the help. And they were able to introduce us to how it worked, how the network operates. And thanks to them, we have a channel on PLEX, and it's doing very well. It's doubling in audience size almost week by week, as so is our web and mobile business. So we're doing quite well. Previous to that, yes, I did run a firm called Sullivan. It was a global company that helped companies do what we're actually doing today, is get launched, get content out to the audiences, be able to promote that content, brand that content, and actually put a sustainable business model together in the media and entertainment business.
Nice. Thank you, Ed. All right, Patrick, why don't you come on camera, introduce yourself, let us know what you're up to with TIXR, and we'll get started with some questions.
Thank you, Jonathan. And Jonathan, I'm going to quote you. You called me a master of marketing and monetization. So I'm going to have to hire you for my PR purposes as well. So thank you, everybody. Really happy to be here. Thank you to Streaming Media West, Eric and the team for the invitation. So when Jonathan reached out to me, and he told me that the topic of discussion, I had to do a little self-reflection on my own career and see if I'm relevant to this panel. And the good news is I think I am. Just a little bit about me. As Jonathan said, right now I'm in the live streaming, but live events monetization business. But in a previous life, now the term OTT, the kind of modern acronym, really started out in on-demand television, on-demand entertainment, right? Pre-YouTube, really when the cable companies were starting to try to get people to utilize VOD or on-demand TV. I was involved in that and really looking at offering free content, which means someone needed to pay, so ad-supported. So my roots are really like developing an ad-supported free on-demand platform and launching channels in that era. And we did so successfully, creating kind of an ad skip proof advertising platform and pushing content in all the places now OTT channels are happening. So obviously the industry's grown up in the last decade. For me, at this part of my career, I'm very much in the live events chapter of my career. So with at TIXR, we're a leading ticketing and entertainment commerce technology company. So we're selling everything from tickets to live stream and pay-per-view monetized events, food and beverage, merchandise, hotel hospitality packages, things like that. But at the core, we're a ticketing company. And what do people do? They buy tickets to live events. And especially over the last 2 years, they buy tickets to virtual events as well. So, we ticket events in everything from music and music festivals to esports and pop culture and arenas and amphitheaters. And really what happened was, true story, is the pandemic hit and our engineering team at TIXR went to work, very talented group, and they built in about a month what's now one of the leading live event virtual monetization engines on the planet. So, we recently, in the last 18 months, we've done some of the biggest success stories. We did Kiss live from Dubai. We've done Bon Jovi. We've done Millennium, a big electronic artist, where fans all over the world could again watch in live, true live experiences, mainly music, but we've also worked in comedy and other. And now that events are flooding back, a lot of our clients and their fans, their consumers have been trained to also experience live, true live entertainment. So, happy to be here and happy to share any of my experiences. But the unfortunate pandemic was really an accelerator for our portion of the industry in this true live entertainment and monetization experience.
Great. Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, you bring up a really good point, true live and the pandemic. With events not being a possibility for some time, other than virtually, I think it sort of introduced the world to a new way of looking at live events. And I guess my question to all of you is, Patrick, maybe you have direct experience. I know Ed and Barry, you've got plans in this effect, but when is content necessary to be live and when is it not necessary to be live? I mean, live, originally in 1929, BBC launched live. Why? Because there wasn't tape, right? And then for years and years after that, TV was live. And then as tape evolved and production evolved, so did television. So the television that isn't live today isn't live for a very good reason, production values. Now with sports, the Super Bowl, production values aren't necessarily an issue even in live. What do you think the content that warrants the technology to be live, true live? What do you think that content is?
Well, I'm happy to jump in. I think, keeping it really basic, it's whether it's sports, music, comedy, other forms of entertainment, it's what fans want to all congregate around at the same time. So it's that, obviously sports is the natural place to look because you want to watch it in real time. You want to do it in a sort of community environment or virtual, kind of exchange environment. So, I mean, honestly, like if you just keep it simple, it's the stuff people want to see as it's happening and create that, must see or tune in experience. And so each genre of programming, apply that as your litmus test and you'll have your answer. And then there's a lot of programming where timing isn't necessary and you can do it on your own time, right? And obviously DVRs and then on demand switched everyone's behavior, right? So I think you really just think of it in those terms. And if it's gonna be something like music industry, a band goes on tour, there's 30 to 50 shows in the tour, which one is the one that's worthy of a live stream experience for its global fans that can't travel or can't be there, but still want to tune in? I think if you think about it in those terms, you'll see what would resonate. And any of these live events are going to have real production costs around it. So that's a huge consideration, is if you're monetizing it, what's your ROI potential and is it worth it? So those are some of the things I'd suggest to consider.
Good points, definitely. Barry, Ed, anything to add?
Yeah, I think it's a great marketing strategy, content marketing strategy. It's real-time engagement. You're generally, when you're doing live events of any sort, it's a very highly targeted marketplace. It's zeroing in on customers that like that specific thing, whether it be a concert, whether it be an e-sport event. Allows you also to expose your platform, your brand, your company, whether you're on the production side of it and or the streaming platform side of it. It allows you to have another slice at the apple, if you will, for marketing your platform, right? Because it's something that real-time engagement is something that's now, it's happening, it's attractive. VOD, you can wait around to see it. Right. So,
yeah.
The other thing that I think is really great about live streaming is that it makes a good future asset value by displaying it again, displaying it to an audience after the event. So not only is it valuable during the event, but also valuable after the event. And we've done that a couple of times with a couple of events that we have worked with. One thing that I particularly like about it is that the sponsorship and the advertising value can be created before the event is even produced. You can deliver the audience, you can deliver the guarantees on the numbers, and particularly if you know this audience well, or if you have past comps and track record for what this kind of content, and sell major advertisers who want that highly targeted niche audience that live is generating.
You bring up a good point. What is the advantage to an advertiser to sponsoring or being part of a live event versus a non-live event?
The first thing is the audience, right? Because it is fine tuning an audience for the most part. Live events are focused on a very niche for the most part, except for news, which is live and produced live. But outside of news, when you're talking about entertainment product, it generally has a strong niche. If it's something that's pop country, you're going to have a very strong niche of pop country artists. Might be some crossover, but same with esports is a perfect example, right? Extreme sports is a category that's very niched, whether it's skateboarding or motocross or those kinds, and you actually can predict the audience with a lot more accuracy than you can with let's say a general entertainment VOD show, or even a general entertainment anything, right? Because it's so that's what I have found with it in the past, whether it's been using traditional media or digital media, is that's one of the biggest advantages, is walking into a Nike or a Coca-Cola or somebody that is really looking to, actually make a stronger relationship with that audience. Also for the advertiser, I think what's their advantages is that they can customize their brand story to that audience. That you don't get that opportunity a lot either in traditional media or even in digital media, because you're hitting a broader audience per se. With extreme sports, if it's guys 18-24 that like skateboarding, that's a pretty good target to be able to say, aha, we could do some really cool stuff for this audience, and throw a little hip hop in there, throw a little bit of a colorful clothing that they wear, actually make a personify your brand, very close to the audience. And that's what brands need to do. They always need to personify themselves. And that's the big advantage, I think it is, for brands and for audiences. Audiences get to be a part of the deep vernacular that's being used, in that event, and hug it, real closely.
What I'd like to add to that is that on the distribution side, and adding that into the fast channel environment, which is, really a fast growing part of the media ecosystem, and where we see a lot of ad dollars migrating to over the next few years. It's not really an ecosystem that's been built for live. And this is why I'm excited, because it's both a challenge and an opportunity. And I think, Ed, you nailed it beautifully, as did Patrick, in describing what needs to be live and what doesn't need to be live, because there is lots of other monetization even after a live broadcast for most of the content we're talking about. But when you can start going to advertisers and you can quantify to them that now this particular national stream is available on 10, 12 different platforms as a fast channel. It's going to be on the live broadcast will be on at this time on the East Coast and this time on the West Coast. And as Ed suggests, who is our marketing, we got great marketing minds on this call, really. He's right. You're able to send and center a very focused, not a narrowcast audience, but a large super vertical audience onto one event. And tune in was the perfect word that Patrick used. We haven't heard the word tune in decades now, but tune in does give you a reason to talk about a particular piece of programming. And I think that emanates certainly in the live environment for live concerts or anything, or a sporting event or comedy or anything, that being in a communal experience is awesome. But right now, even in a fast channel environment, and because we're dealing with very vertical and super vertical content, we can go to these same tribes and market to them and say, this is something special that's on later this month, and create value for an advertiser that I don't think that level of value exists today in fast. But with folks that we have on the call today, and my partner and I included, we really wanted to create new values and try to rise tides in all ships within the ecosystem by creating value for viewers and advertisers.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I think, so just to describe what FAST is for those in the audience that may not know, it stands for free ad-supported television. It's the live, not the true live, but the live broadcast where you've got the 150, 200 channels on a Pluto, PLEX, Samsung Plus type platform. Those channels, channel collections, we'll call them, those multi-platform distributors tend to look alike. Do you think that live is a way for them to differentiate themselves?
You know, I think what it's a way to do is create the equivalent of the old-fashioned affiliate marketing program, because when you're talking about live, to make things fire on all cylinders, as you know, our other panelists know, you have to work not only directly with our audience and who we're trying to attract to there, but to the actual platforms or the affiliate partners that do that. So being able to create marketing programs and support things that they're doing, because it's also very nascent in their marketing growth right now and what they're doing to bring new audience and differentiate their platforms. In the old days, we called these account-specific promotions. In the new days, we'll call them activations with key platform partners and see how we can get them involved in the event. Because remember, especially when we're successful in being able to bring in an advertising partner, they're going to participate in that in the equivalent of a legacy barter deal. So this, again, is there's really not a loser in this ecosystem with success.
So you're saying live, true live is almost the original content of the FAST channels opportunity for differentiating themselves.
Yeah, I think what we have now is the equivalent of, you know, local markets used to run ubiquitous content, but they had to create an awareness around where they were. I think that that's both a challenge and the opportunity for these virtual MVPDs, as well as the CTVs, to market their screens to let people know that this free content even exists. And when that really starts to ramp up, I think it's going to get real exciting, because many of these things that happen we've seen before, and yet the technology that enables it and allows it, the barriers are still there, but from a delivery and a play out standpoint, we've come quantum leaps since, you know, in the last couple of decades. I'll even say the last few years, frankly.
Patrick, how would you approach that from a, you know, TIXR is a ticketing agency above all else, I'm guessing. And if you're creating an event, the wider you go, the more tickets you sell, I would imagine. Is creating live events for specific channel platforms something that you can see as valuable? I mean, we've all seen the big three bidding for the Olympics one year or another. I mean, is that something that you can see streaming channels doing as well?
Well, here's what I would say is, you know, from our perspective, we're working with major artists and management or brands that have content that would be kind of stream worthy, right? Starting there, and then potentially finding other distribution partners, right? So we've done a little bit of that, both domestically and also internationally, to take this content through partners internationally. I can give you some real world on that. But so it's really, that's been our process. But to comment, I think a little bit of what Barry was saying with, you know, with FAST channels, it seems to me like that there would be great opportunity for some of the channels to do tentpole style live stream programs, you know, and you mentioned like almost like a marketing exposure as well with partners, some of your channel partners. But yeah, because what it does is you're working with major artists, you would hope, their audience. And nowadays, as everyone knows, if I'm an artist, I've got direct communication with tens of millions of my fans to invite them to do things, purchase stuff, see me live, watch me live stream, things like that. So it's a awareness driver for these channels. And I would assume in your world, you know, brand awareness is a big challenge, right? Especially in the sea of OTT options now. One good example, it just happened last Friday night. We work with a live events business, an arena style business, and one of their arenas opened, the climate change arena in Seattle. Maybe you guys heard about that. So opening night was Coldplay, right? Climate change is sponsored by Amazon. So where did Coldplay's show, beyond the 50,000 people that got to watch it in live, get to experience it, was on Amazon Prime. So I myself got to check it out, right? So there's one real world example of a major tentpole style event going across the new world of television, right? And on demand, just watched it live, right? Live stream on Amazon Prime. So I think you're going to see more of that at all levels of the OTT world. Obviously, Amazon Prime and Coldplay and climate change, that's pretty A-list. But I think there's also examples for more niche examples of that as well. So yeah, I mean, that's my 2 cents. I think having like one-off programming that's tentpole style that drives awareness for these channels and monetization, I think inevitably is a good thing. Where it goes after that start, yet to be seen.
Right.
I mean, Jonathan, would be great. I know there's some exciting stuff that we've been working on and some stuff that Ed's been working on since, for a long time now. I've been waiting for the technology to catch up to provide a real seamless viewer experience and integrity for the advertiser. If it's not pre-sold, that we have the ability to insert dynamic ads in a live environment. I mean, these are all things on the pragmatic side that you don't think about, but we know that our partners at Whirl, who we use to stream our stuff, and other folks are in the cloud and on the ground, are helping us, that have long, extensive backgrounds in delivering live playouts, because as Patrick will tell you, you need experts to do this. And there are a couple of examples that we've got. I'm not sure where we are on time, but I love to hear some of the live stuff. We have the good fortune of working with ClixTV and Ed and his team on some live event things, and just day-to-day work with them. And then if we have some time, I'd love to share some of the things and some of the new channels that are coming, and some of the things and how we're even enabling true live in a library type fast environment, because I think that's something that is not generally expected.
Talk about that. How would that work?
Okay, I'll be quick. We're launching a new channel called Trailers from Hell that I would say is a new type of binge. Imagine folks like Joe Dante and John Landis and other great genre filmmakers taking apart thousands of movie trailers, going back from the silence through the millennial, and saying why it was cool, why the movie was cool, and why that trailer moment was cool. You can get a true film education in 2.5 minutes, or you can get a full education of the genre if you want to watch the entire curated half hour of trailers that were curated by this team. Now, because we do have access to these great directors and genre filmmakers and such, once a month, we do see an opportunity to bring this tribe together across all of our platforms that will be carrying the Trailers from Hell channel. And the equivalent that Fathom Events used to do in a theater with the watch party across neighborhoods in your neighborhood theater. Imagine that in a fast channel environment with the man who directed Gremlins and Small Soldiers, and perhaps John Landis or Adam Rifkin, or some other great genre filmmaker. And we may or may not have to watch the movie that they made, but we can certainly get reciprocity and see if Warner's will give us Gremlins to watch for the night, and we'll figure out a way to do it. Or we have a very extensive library of classics they can share. Oh, and there'll be lots of trailers.
So you're saying even as a marketing tool, sort of a video live chat experience where...
Well, I equate it to the fast channel version of the Fathom event in a movie theater. We have a Q&A with a filmmaker, a top filmmaker, and then we all enjoy the movie together. It'll have commercials in it because, of course, this is TV, and we may even be able to have one of our live break-ins during the show and in between commercials, and certainly at the end of the commercial, or pardon me, at the end of the film, we can certainly have a live Q&A with one of these great filmmakers or a panel of them. And we're kind of doing it right now. We could take questions during the broadcast, and then we can answer them live after with some other fun surprises. This is also a great way for advertisers to come in, because this type of programming becomes show content. It becomes very promotable. And even in a unique library environment, I just shared, we're doing a new bingeable trailer channel that'll have movies once a month. That'll be a watch party that'll be heavily promoted all month. And there'll be, and everybody that's involved, from the celebrity angle to the guest, will be promoting this, because you have to promote around something. We want some folks to tune in every once in a while and actually get the tribe on the same channel at the same time. It's really old school and old fashioned, but it's very cool and very unique for what's happening in the FAST ecosystem now. But it'll work because it's worked for decades prior. So we're excited to enable it.
Well, what are the concerns when broadcasting live? What do you have to ask yourself as a channel producer? What tough questions you need to answer regarding, making sure that something doesn't air that wasn't intended to air, or to keep live relevant versus just another show.
You're trying to let me let the cat out of the bag on the new channel that's going to be announced soon, because this is exactly already a quandary that we have to deal with in the type of content.
5-second delay.
Yeah. Thank you, Ed. I mean, it might be 10 seconds, but
it might be a half hour.
Just about true live.
Right. Virtually live.
I'd like to. There's one other type of content, and I think Patrick did an amazing, description of what works, because I really look at it as there's kind of 4 things that need that communal vibe. And, it's interesting when you look at the FAST channel space and you look at linear, there's some good comedy offerings. There's some great library out there, but, we're going to be announcing a new network that's actually going to have a live component once or twice a month, moving up to 4 times a month for this channel to make it unique in the comedy space. We'll share who the partners are and who's involved. That's going to be a large announcement, but the reason that I share it is that we can't afford to go out and get Coldplay to go do something at the Amazon arena. But that said, relative to the FAST environment, comedy has a really high perceived value because it is valued high. And right now, we're going to create a really safe and cool home for comedians, a network that really actually shows comedy. And we're doing it with folks that know how to do play out, a large management group, a venue, building a studio around it. It's going to be something that I don't believe I've seen yet in the FAST environment, but we're real excited, and there'll be more to come. But you can rest assured that we've already done all the legwork from a tech standpoint to support these live shows, and there'll be multicam shows. It'll be like, think Saturday Night Live. We're going to be on at 11 o'clock in New York, and we're going to be on at 8 o'clock on the West Coast. And the repeatability will be broadcast thereafter in both the FAST channels and in AVOD and in digital syndication.
So we've got comedy. We've been talking about music with Coldplay. We've got somebody in the audience asking about opera, Metropolitan Opera. Is that a live event? Ed, I know you're looking at some things. What do you consider to be, how do you draw the line? I know that there's a technology cost and there's also an opportunity.
Yeah, there is no line. What the advantage that you get if it's going to be like newer, Broadway production or opera for that matter, is that, and we work with Stage Access, who actually has, that content sewn up, is that you've got all the production is there, right? So you didn't have to pay for it in advance. So you're covering it because they're actually monetized and capitalized on it by selling tickets in advance. So that's what afforded the production. They're looking for a new revenue stream. So I think that the innovative part of this from digital is that you really have to understand how to create the halo effect that, live streaming can have. And that halo effect is this a franchise? Is this something that I can build into a franchise that plays 4 times a year, that satisfies that audience? Can I build events around it? To Barry's point is that it doesn't need to be Coldplay. Some of the biggest watched, most viewed content online is Jake Paul sitting in his living room saying stupid stuff. Sorry, Jake. Yeah. But I mean, that is live, you know, and there's an audience for that. Now, you know, and it happens to be a very big one. So this does not have to be an expensive venture. I think today's version of it is to look at two things. How do I create a feedback channel for my content, you know, for my event, whatever that is, because it's the customer acquisition cost, no matter what you're looking at, is pretty high today, right? So how do I retain that audience long term? And then how do I create a halo effect around that? Brands know how to create halo effect around. Coca-Cola creates a halo effect around everything, right? So they do something, they want a lasting impression with that audience that they can capitalize on for a long period of time. And Patrick was talking more about that too, when he's saying, look, you know, what we want to do is create an audience value that compels them to buy merchandise, compels them to look at other ticketing opportunities that we have, that compels them to tune in more often, you know. And I think that those are all the content marketing pillars, if you will, that really need to be looked at, that you would look at in traditional media, of course, but now digital opens up so many new doors to interact with that audience on a one-on-one basis in a very compelling way, and be more of an audience pleaser, you know, with your content, and that halo effect that can, you know, it's driving people down the marketing funnel, right? You know, you want to get conversion for everything that you do. And yes, a one-off event that doesn't brand very well, it doesn't franchise very well, could be expensive. You know, it could be expensive. It can also be very cheap to get out there and experiment around, like what Barry's talking about with comedy. Comedy is not an expensive production, you know. Venue is you know, venues are everywhere. You could do comedy in your living room if you want to, you know. It's like it's not an expensive production. So there's a broad programming, I would say, programming approach to this that you can consider, you know, everything from not very expensive to everything from paying, you know, artists and actors and performers, you know, a lot of money to do it. There's also the version of which we have with Stage Access, is that they have their costs covered. They're looking for a new revenue stream. I don't have to pay for the cost of Stage Access, you know, which would be too expensive for our little company to ever afford, to get Yo-Yo Ma and a stage and go to a concert like that, right? So, so I think there's
generally the operas do really well as event programming. You know, the Metropolitan Opera in the theaters and Fathom events, and that's why I think that even in the fast environment, to your point, Dad, everything being cost effective relative to where that ecosystem can afford and sustain at the moment.
Absolutely. So you're looking at Rolex buyers versus you know, Nike shoes.
yeah, but I mean, I think that I whoever asked that question, I would actually say it's a wonderful vertical from a programming standpoint and an ecosystem challenge.
Yeah.
Because if they're piping that live event into theaters right now, if that's going to ramp back up as we, you know, come back out into the theater environment, there is no reason that same feed could not be converted into some type of a live feed into the fast ecosystem digitally and serve it out that way. Again, that becomes a digital syndication opportunity, and it can be done. And I think that is a wonderful vertical. And Patrick, I mean, I love the stuff that you guys do. I've been a TIXR fan and sort of you know, observer for a while, and I love a lot of the artists and festivals that you guys get involved in, because they're really a curator's platform, and it's awesome, you know. But interestingly enough, opera and fine arts, but especially opera, it's unique. It's even different than classical, seems to really travel well in an enthusiast market. And it also, there's really no way to monetize it from an advertiser standpoint, because right now it's a ticketing business at the theater. So again, I look at these as wonderful opportunities, and whoever asked that question, I think it's a wonderful vertical. And now, unfortunately for me, you've got me thinking about how does that get monetized in fast environment in True Live. Appreciate that. Thanks.
Well, and
It's held at the Prudential theater venue. That's how you do it.
well, and let's talk about that, the technology for a second, because I one of the reasons why True Live hasn't been introduced into the fast channel environment, the streaming environment, is because of technology. You know, it takes a lot more to do a live event. If you're editing in real time with multiple cameras, you know, that's a whole technology and production unto itself. There's the delay that you both have mentioned, and making sure that the delay and the camera editing in a live event don't, you know, stumble over each other. What do you have to say about that? I mean, I understand in the streaming universe, there's the platform technology and the content, but then there's also the actual stream technology. People like Amagi or Whirl delivering those streams. Are we close, or is it happening? Tubi announced earlier this year that they'll be bringing some of the Fox Sports live. I mean, what do you guys know about what's happening out there in the industry? Is this something that we can expect tomorrow, the next day, or, you know, years from now?
I'll just start off because it's really outside of my wheelhouse, right? So in the new world of live streaming and monetization of live stream, you know, there's the platform. So TIXR in this case is the platform. Then there's the production group, the cameras and the switcher software and everything that's live event producing. So Barry, in the comedy club example, you know, there's a team there, there's a few cameras. We work with comedy clubs and music clubs that now are installing that to have it full time, right? So, and then once that all comes together, there's the stream key or the RTMP feed that then goes somewhere, right? In our case, it's to TIXR, and worldwide fans can purchase. So, you know, where I'm not familiar is with Whirl and these other kind of fast channel technology platform partners, but I would assume it's just another plug-in at that point. I just don't know if they're ready. Barry, your thoughts?
Patrick, you know, it's interesting, and it's the perfect question. And yes, the reason that we couldn't do this year is because it really wasn't ready to be seamless. There are, you know, a few moving parts, and besides World being able to deliver it, you know, out into the World network, if you will, you have to be able, to your point, whether you're doing a 26 camera shoot with a live line cut, sending it over. Yeah, it's a box. And the reason that we've done, you know, some extra work, on which I laugh and I say on the ground and in the cloud, is in addition to the production company that will have shooting live multicam, we do have a support team that'll be available, that'll be sort of that middle company, if you will, that'll be doing the middleware into Whirl, that also used to do all the live playback for people like ESPN. I mean, full disclosure, these folks actually built some of those systems. So they're excited about, you know, taking what they've built over the years and doing live sports broadcasts and now bringing that into the digital environment. And yes, essentially it's a box. And it's a box that deals with expanding signals and reducing latency, and also having the ability to then put in the, you know, the dynamic ads if it's not a pre-sold, you know, because then you could build the ads in during your, you know, during the setup of the show. But yeah, it's literally just using a live on-site graphics package for the line cut, very much like you do with your big events, scaled down to, you know, 4 or 5 camera shoot with the tech team in the middle, making certain that it's a good, proper stream into Whirl. And yes, so that there's we do have a company on the ground that would be needed to supply that box and that extra expertise that come from both play out and digital. So that they're a unique kind of right and left brain expert.
So if the technology is there, because it's been utilized in these other areas, and if the you know, whether it's Amagi or Whirl or whoever are willing to and able to stream that technology live, then are the channels ready? I mean, I think everyone here is
I think
dabbling
that's the
or
question.
digging deep, but yeah,
Yeah, that's the question. I think that the production side of it is so accustomed to doing it. It's like streaming it from a truck with the crews today, you know, and it's like, I know the same people, Barry, you're talking about, that invented it, did the X Games and ESPN and everything else. It's so turnkey, it's seamless, you know. It's like, oh, it felt more turnkey than standing at CBS putting tape on a machine, right? And so it's just, it is actually, it's perfected. You know, when we did a skating event, we didn't have one drop frame. What you do have to do is plan ahead. You know, it's like, that's the biggest thing you have to do with a live event.
That's the high class problem. Indeed.
Yeah, it's a high class problem, particularly if it's sports. You got to have all the names of all the players. You got to have their stats, maybe a little bit of a background on them, you know, maybe some packages to roll in. If you really want it to look good, and Patrick knows this, there's a lot of prep. You know, it's like, because you gotta have a contingency, you gotta have a backup plan for the backup plan, you know. So, but that's what these companies do, and that's who you do business with when you're going to do live, is you do it with somebody that you can trust, that has done it ever since, you know, television was invented, you know, and has gone through all of the technical, you know, iterations of that over time. It's seamless, you know. So I think it's more of a question, not for Whirl, or you know, we did it through AWS, you know. It's like, to our platform, there was no problem. We didn't have to call them and say, hey, you know what, we're doing a live event, you know. It's like, it was just, we hooked it into our platform, you know. It's like, so, but a couple days before, we made sure that it worked, that everything rolled in, that from the truck. That's what you have to do. If you don't do that, and the truck pulls up and you say, hey, here's the cable to the cameras on the stage, get going, you might have a few problems. You know, it's like, you want to make sure that it's worked out. I don't think there's any problem with fast channels being able to do it in 30 seconds from now if we wanted to.
Hey, Ed, just to comment, I mean, you touched on something that I think is critical to this overall conversation, which is the excitement, right? The nervousness, the challenges, where you said you need a backup for your backup, right? And that's on the production technology side. You know, the people in that group, their hearts are beating fast when this actually happens. And then you have the most important thing, which is the audience, the consumers, right? And the brands that are wrapped around the experience. So it's about the experience. We talked about interactivity and community. We talked about, you know, this tune-in experience where you're getting a lot of people congregating for the event, right? Brands want to be a part of that, and the consumers are there to be a part of it. And it's that live, true live, Jonathon, true live emotional experience that everyone gets to benefit. Fast channels, if that's the, you know, one of the windows or the outlets that get to play it and draw the people in, learn about the brand, learn about the channel through that experience, or in our world, a premium paid ticket. It's the same reason why people have flooded back to live events, right? And some of our music destination festivals have sold out 3x because people love that emotional, live, true live experience, and now true live in the virtual sense as well. So I think that's really the crux of it. And then everything else falls, you know, against that, which is the emotional connection.
One thing about live, and I always thought this about NASCAR, you know, a wreck could happen at any second. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it, right? You know, Mick Jagger could fall and trip over that microphone stand any minute now.
So true.
Yeah. So there's always that aspect of live, you know. It's like, who knows what's going to happen next? You know, there's no editing. There might be delayed, but there's no editing. Anything can happen, and that's the cool part of it, right?
That's part of the nervous energy that the audience feels in tandem with the production on site. It's There's just certain events and series, and Saturday Night Live has been one of those kind of exciting things with a little buzzer for decades now. It's still exciting for me.
Yeah. And on the technology side, this whole last 18, 19 months, whatever it's been, has been a technology challenge for a lot of companies. Now, some of the old school TV brands, like a NASCAR, they're really well tooled for live, right?
Yeah.
But in the crazy wild west of live stream that's really unfolded in the last 2 years, I mean, we've been very blessed. We've had no outages. Our engineering team has been phenomenal. But there's been a lot of new brands, new startups that got to work with A-list artists and failed in the limelight, to the point where everyone knew about it. You guys may have seen some of those with major, primarily music artists. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is this era has trailblazed live streaming, where the technology feat is shown, and a lot of people just aren't up to the challenge. So that kind of lends to the technology needs of this new era, which TV, is certainly more used to it. The world of internet distribution, and live stream, premium live stream, not so much.
Looking at Eric popping on camera, I'm guessing it's time to wrap it up here.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
it's yeah, right. Not so much to wrap it up, although we are getting there, but you talk about technology failures or technology issues. I just wanted to add and maybe toss out to the panel as a question. It seems that most of the technology failures that have happened regarding big true live events, though, have not been with the actual video streaming and delivery portion so much as with things like ticketing and authentication. Would you agree with that?
Well, for us, our team built basically a device fingerprint technology that when someone buys a virtual ticket and then they come back to tune in, they're only allowed to watch on one device per ticket at a time. So if I want to start on my mobile device, kick it over and finish on Roku, on the TIXR app on Roku, that's totally feasible, but it's one device at a time. But you're right. I mean, piracy is a big issue. And there's some things that in the modern world, you're just not going to get across. You're not going to get around a kid screencasting his Twitch channel, like things like that. We're fortunate to have a bat line with Twitch, and we can cut those off. But in YouTube and other places, it's going to happen. You're never going to get around all of it, but you do what you can.
Right. And I guess what I was getting at with the bottlenecks happen when services that deliver live linear programming think that their authentication system, don't consider that their authentication system and their ticketing system suddenly needs to handle an influx of tens of thousands of people at one time, rather than the usual. It's not, if you're going to a concert in person, you buy your ticket as soon as you can to get the best seat possible. If you're going to a concert online, you may wait until 30 seconds before the showtime, right?
You're right.
Everybody comes at once, and that's where it breaks.
There's two bottlenecks. There's the on sale, and then there's the event, right? Those are where the bottlenecks happen. And most companies aren't tooled for that. You're right. And we're fortunate because the platform is an 8.5-year-old platform built for at scale live events. Now here comes this live stream world all at once. And it's the same concept. It's, and that's where a lot of these kind of new on-demand live stream companies have failed, is on that at scale, all at once purchasing habit of the audience.
Right. Well, hey, terrific panel, guys. Terrific questions. Jonathon, thanks so much for taking the time to participate. Thanks to our audience. The winner of the gift card, the Amazon gift card, is, I have it here somewhere. It is Ted Shikuma. Ted, keep an eye open in your email for notification about that. And thanks again to our sponsors, Limelight Networks, Signient, Conviva, and Video Guys. We will be back in 30 minutes to talk about esports. Hope to see some of you then. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Jonathon.
John. Thanks, Eric.
Yep.
VideoGuys.com is your source for the Live View Solo, and our Black Friday special starts now.
Stream from anywhere, anytime with the Live View Solo and Solo Connect bundle. Buy now with the 2 or 3 modem kit and get 1 month Solo Connect free. This includes unlimited data and LRT Cloud and is only available until November 30th, 2021.
Go to videoguys.com or call us at 800-323-2325 to take advantage of LiveU's Black Friday special today.
In this era of streaming video, we are pioneers, helping make your stories more vibrant. Conviva lives in billions of apps on devices all over the world, measuring trillions of data points each day to provide real-time insights for your content, ads, and social. Conviva. Every stream, every screen, every second.